Hey, Autumn Athletes, Larry Sorensen here, and you can see I have the privilege of sitting down with Amy Kandetzke today to find out what makes her an Autumn Athlete that's not done yet. Remember, before we get started, if you enjoy our content, like, subscribe, and ding that bell for notifications. All right, let's get this thing started. Amy, thanks so much for joining us today. Why don't you start us off with a little introduction of yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So my name's Amy Kandetzke. I am a registered nurse. I'm a mom of 3 kiddos. I live here in McGuanago. I'm actually originally from Massachusetts, so Longmeadow, Massachusetts. I went to college in New York. I lived in Philadelphia for a while and then moved to Wisconsin, so we've been here for about 14 years. I am a bodybuilder and I own my own business called Optimal Health Solutions.
Well, great to meet you. We're glad to have you here today. So before we start talking about what you're doing now in your bodybuilding, give us a little idea of your athletic background.
Sure. So I've been involved in sports my whole life, and I was an only child. So I grew up with a lot of friends in the neighborhood, lots of boys, and I played a lot of sports. My mom put me in everything because I was an only child, and so I just have always been an athlete. I would say, high school is really where I got niched down to what I really, my strengths, I guess, and my likes. So I did field hockey, I played softball, and I did track and field. And so those were kind of my 3 favorites, but I also really I remember liking weightlifting in gym class. And I started that freshman year, and I kind of took that through, all 4 years of high school.
Mm-hmm. So did you continue weightlifting all the way through? Now you're a bodybuilder, obviously, and we're going to talk about that more, but did you continue weightlifting, from those high school years to now, or did you get away from it?
I've always been weightlifting, yes. Okay. And in college, I went to school for exercise science, originally, my first bachelor's. So I loved working out, loved just weightlifting and the nutrition aspect of it. And I've been weightlifting ever since.
Okay. So did you have inspirations along the way, whether it was back in your younger days with athletics or moving up to now that you've been into bodybuilding? Were there any specific people or incidents that really inspired you to push forward and push hard?
In the beginning of my lifting career, I guess my dad inspired me because he'd be lifting, 3-4 hours a day. He was very active. He was a firefighter, and I have a lot of traits from him. And then I've always wanted to do a bodybuilding competition, but I was, in my 30s, I had 3 kids. So it's like you get pregnant, you're breastfeeding, then you have another kid, and you're pregnant, and you're breastfeeding. And so, my body changed a lot. And, I didn't have the energy that I wanted to and the time to devote to training. And so I stayed fit, but I didn't think I was capable of being a bodybuilder until I saw someone online who I met, who you have interviewed before. But I actually met her on Facebook, and I watched her journey, and her body just completely transformed, and her confidence, and so I kind of reached out to her and just told her how much she inspired me, and I decided that I was gonna give it a shot. I felt like, my kids were a little bit older, and I felt like I had the time to dedicate to it.
You want to give her a shout out?
Yeah, Sherry Hagan.
Okay. Yeah, if you go back to last year, I interviewed her on this channel as well. So if you're interested in hearing her story, you can click the link down in the description below. Okay, so you had some pregnancies, which some of my female athletes have said considered not a setback, but a disruption to training.
Yep.
So did you have any other major setbacks, injuries, illness, anything like that hurt your athletic training or preparation along the way?
Absolutely, yes. So I would say, and this, I'm going to try and condense this because it's long, but my health continued to deteriorate after each kid. So I developed hypothyroidism after my first. I developed a lot of autoimmune conditions after my second, like lupus and Sjogren's and fibromyalgia and osteoarthritis and disc degeneration. I mean, you name it, I had it. And then after my third, I developed stage 3 adrenal dysfunction, which I didn't know I had, but I knew that I was exhausted all the time. Like I could barely get out of bed. I was in pain all the time. And, it actually forced me to quit my RN job because my health deteriorated that much.
Well, how did you overcome that? What did you do to change?
I ended up obviously quitting my job and making health my priority. And that's where I found naturopathic medicine and functional lab testing. And so I saw a chiropractor online. She was doing a lot of videos about women's health and hormones, and I reached out to her, and she had recommended I do the Dutch hormone test, which is a dried urine test. This is a test that conventional medicine does not run. And, and I went through conventional medicine for about 10 years and just did not get any answers. I was just prescribed medication, which really didn't fix the root underlying cause of why I was experiencing all these symptoms. So I did a Dutch test. It showed that I was in stage 3 adrenal dysfunction. My body was barely making cortisol at all. So we need some cortisol to survive. I wasn't even on the graph. So I ended up telling my doctor, and my doctor had me come in and test me for Addison's. I was negative for Addison's, but I was extremely fatigued. And again, healing from a stage 3 adrenal dysfunction is not an overnight process. So it took me about 6 months to a year to really start feeling better. And then that kind of opened the door to other testing, like GI map testing, mold testing, and mineral testing. And I ended up having a lot of infections in my gut. I had a lot of mineral deficiencies, and I had mold toxicity.
Well, that's a mouthful, everyone. So if you're interested in knowing more about that, we're going to talk about her business a little bit later, but we're looking at potentially doing some live chats down the road here. So if you're interested in that, throw something in the comments below, and if we get enough people that would like to hear more about all of that stuff, maybe some definitions to some of those words, let us know in the comments below, and we'll put that together, and you can pick Amy's brain a little bit. Let's move on to some fun stuff. Tell us a little bit about some of your personal best achievements, whether they were back in the day or now that you're a bodybuilder.
I decided that I was going to start competing last March, and that's kind of when I reached out to my trainer. And so it was about, I want to say 7 months of training. And my first NPC show in bikini division was in November, and I won in all 3 classes.
Wow.
And then I did another one 2 weeks later in Kansas City, and I won in 2 of my classes. I won in open, I won in masters, and I took second in another master's class. So I am on my way to nationals. So I'm training for nationals right now. So I will do nationals in Las Vegas in November.
Well, congratulations. You're off to a fantastic start, obviously. What's kind of the long-term goal with bodybuilding for you?
I'd love to get my pro card. So if I place in first or second at the national show, then I will get my pro card. And my goal is in masters. Over 40.
Yeah. Do you see this as long-term, like forever and ever, or are there some other athletic endeavors maybe that you've got your eye on down the road?
I don't know. I kind of love this lifestyle that I've created for myself. I love my gym routine. I love counting my macros. I love feeling the way that I feel. I love the way that I look. And I kind of don't want to get off this train. But at the same time, I know what prep does to the body. I know what prep does to hormones and adrenal function. And so I think the short-term goal is getting my pro card and then kind of going from there, whether it be just maintaining the lifestyle and doing another show when I'm 50. So we'll kind of see what happens after that.
Give us a glimpse into your training. And obviously with bodybuilding, there's prep time, there's off-season time. So maybe a little idea of when you're cutting versus bulking, if you will. And then maybe just generally, what do you train? How do you train? What's the style that you train in?
So I do progressive overload training. So right now I'm working my legs and glutes 3 times a week. And my shoulders and triceps I do one day, and then back and bis I do another day. And so, my trainer gave me 5 days of training, and I said, well, can you give me a 6th day? And so I probably don't listen to my body as well as I should, but I love training, I love weightlifting. So that's what it looks like in the build phase, and that's really what it looks like in the cut phase when it comes to lifting as well. Now the cardio does change. So building, I'm doing 20 minutes of cardio after every strength session. I'm also doing 10,000 steps. Okay. In cut phase, we adjust macros. We adjust the carbs down, we do some carb cycling, and then the cardio goes way up. So 45 minutes, 50 minutes, but the strength training pretty much stays the same.
What are your macros right now?
I do 147 grams of protein, I'm at 170 grams of carbs right now, and I'm at 84 grams of fat. And I'm a little human, so I am only 5'2". I weigh about 118 pounds. So that's a lot of food.
Yeah.
But, that's what I do in building phase. And again, in cutting, carbs go down, fat goes down.
Yeah.
But protein stays the same.
So what kind of calorie intake is that?
2,100 calories.
Okay. We want to pivot a little bit into how you approach diet and nutrition. So give us a glimpse of how you eat and what you eat.
I try and get most of my food from whole foods, but that's not always realistic because I'm a mom of 3 and I own my own business. So I do use, I use superfood nutrition because our food today is nutrient lacking and calorie dense. So micronutrients is extremely important. So I drink 2 power shakes a day. They're vegan organic superfood shakes. And then I take amino capsules. So they're 99.9% absorbed in the body. I still eat regular food, but that's part of my nutrition because I truly believe in the quality of the nutrition you're getting. Your body needs that to function optimally. I do protein shakes. I do grass-fed whey protein shakes too. Sometimes I do prepared meals. So, there's nothing added to them, but they help in, cutting, just saving time and energy. I do protein bars. But again, I try and eat as much whole food as I can. And I eat meat, lots of meat, chicken and beef, and I eat it all. Because protein is so important, that protein muscle synthesis that we need for building muscle.
How many meals do you eat a day, and how do you combine those, regular food with shakes and so forth?
Yeah, so I eat about every 3 to 4 hours. And so I eat within an hour of waking. Women, if you're watching this, that's so important for our hormones. But eating within an hour of waking, and then after that, about every 3 to 4 hours, either a protein shake, a meal, protein bar. I try and always hit 25 grams of protein with each meal or snack. In addition to the nutrition that I use, I also drink Kangen water. So Kangen water is hydrogen-rich antioxidant water. We have a specific machine that makes it, and it really helps with recovery, lowering inflammation in the body, making your body more alkaline. It's great for physical performance. I have more energy when I use it, and it's made a huge difference in my health, but also my family's.
How about rest? What's your approach to rest, both from a training perspective, when you're in the gym, set rest, that type of thing, and then also just general rest, sleep and so forth. How do you manage that?
Yeah, sleep's definitely a priority because that's where we recover, rebuild. And so I do everything I can to get the best night's sleep. I'm turning off electronics, 30 minutes to an hour prior to bedtime. I do a whole unwinding routine where I listen to certain energy frequencies, which I know sounds crazy, but it works. And, I take some supplements to enhance sleep too. I also track my sleep with an Oura ring. So it tells me how much deep sleep, REM sleep I'm getting. And, I aim for 8 hours of sleep a night. Whether I get that or not is, dependent on certain things. And then the weekends, I sleep in. I make that a priority. I get as much sleep as my body needs. As far as recovery days, I probably don't take enough as I should. But on my recovery days, I try and take 2 recovery days a week, sometimes 1. And it does depend on kind of where I am in my menstrual cycle too. That does make a difference in training. So if I'm in the second 2 weeks of my cycle, I take 2 days off. If I'm in the first 2 weeks, I only take 1 day off. And when I take a day off, I'm usually still moving. I'm walking, I'm foam rolling, I'm stretching. So, and then I do peptides. So I take BPC 157, which really helps with recovery. And then I have something called super xanthan, which helps with inflammation and reducing inflammation.
Kind of a 2-part question. 1, what motivates you to keep driving? And then 2, how do you fit it all in at this point?
So what motivates me is showing up to my fullest potential every single day. And, the more I invest in my own health and the more I make that a priority, the better I can show up for everyone else, my clients, my family. the better I feel, the more I want to do to help other people. So that's kind of my motivating driver. And then how do I get it all in? Great question. Well, I prioritize myself and my health first. And I know that sounds really selfish to a lot of people, but you have to, otherwise you wouldn't get it done. So I'm blessed that I can make my own schedule. I have my own business. And so I prioritize my gym time in the morning. That's what works for me. And then I work from about 11 to 7:38. I still take time and drive the kids to where they need to be and, do all that stuff too. But I primarily work while the kids are at school. And then in the evenings, my husband, will have the kids and I'll get what I need to get done. Weekends can be a little crazy because I have 3 kids all doing at least 2 sports each. So that's actually harder for me to get in my own workouts and get them to do. But if you make it a priority, it happens. If you don't, it doesn't happen.
Is there anything that you'd have done differently throughout your athletic career, be it way back when you were young or even over the last couple of years?
Looking back in my 20s, I was doing all the wrong things when it came to exercise. I was doing lots and lots of cardio, lots of HIIT, wasn't prioritizing strength training as much, was under eating. And that caused a lot of hormonal issues. It caused stage 3 adrenal dysfunction. It caused me to have low thyroid function. And so, if looking back, I would have obviously worked out for a woman's body, not a man's body. Mm-hmm. And I would have prioritized resting more, listening to my body more, and not just pushing through. I have a tendency to do that. And I would have, hopefully found functional medicine earlier because I could have prevented a lot of the conditions that I developed in my late 30s.
If you could encapsulate your secret sauce into a bottle, what would that recipe be?
I would say minerals, making sure your minerals are balanced, checking your minerals. That's something I do in my business because they're the foundation to your metabolism, to your energy, your thyroid health, stress response, detoxification, digestion. Getting the right nutrients in, making sure you're getting those micronutrients, superfood in, and strength training. It is one of the best things that you can possibly do for your body. Mm-hmm. And walking, which is the most underrated exercise out there. Walking is so good for your health and good for your hormones and mindset.
Amy's obviously thrown a lot of words and different things out there with nutrition and hormones and all that kind of stuff. So I want to give her a second just to talk a little bit about what she does do and her business and so forth. And so tell us a little bit more about that and where we can find you online and all that kind of good stuff.
I started my own business in 2021. I focus on functional lab testing for women primarily. I do test for men too. I just attract a lot of women in midlife to me. But I do GI map testing, so that's going to be gut testing, Dutch testing, which is going to be hormone testing, and then HTMA hair testing, which is testing minerals. I also do nutrition plans, customized nutrition plans, customized exercise plans, and I specialize in teaching women how to eat to balance their hormones and their blood sugar. And where can you find me? So I'm on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Women's Health Nurse. My Facebook is just my first and my last name, so I'm sure Larry will put that in the comments. And then my TikTok is at Optimal Hormone Solution. And so I do a lot of educational videos on TikTok. That's probably where I'm the biggest right now, but I'm really present on all 3 social media platforms. And I love to educate about women's health in general, like how to improve gut health, how to balance blood sugar, how to balance your hormones. And I also specialize in weight loss.
Fantastic. And as Amy mentioned, I will definitely post all of her links in the description below so you can go and find her. All right, Amy, thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you letting us know what makes you an autumn athlete that's not done yet. We're going to wrap up here by giving you the floor to just give us some final thoughts.
I would say, no matter where you are in your journey, if you've had kids, if you're not in the shape that you want to be in, it's always possible no matter what age. Your age is just a number. And it's never too late. It's never too late to start. And I can help you. I can help you feel better, look better, whatever your goals are, I can help you reach them. And I'd love for you to reach out to me.
Well, there you go, folks. Amy Kandetzke. She is definitely an automathlete that's not done yet. Remember, keep moving, set your own goals, and train hard to achieve them. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time.